Okay, here we go. Flash is divided up just like most programs. Flash is divided up. Um, you have your toolbar here on your left hand side, and we're going to go over some of those today. You have your top part here. This is called the timeline. Those little rectangles that you see, those little sections, those are different scenes on your timeline. Okay, so you can in just a second we're going to be able to you can click to any of these scenes at any time. Okay, you see how I'm doing that? You can click up in there at any time, and you can select those individual frames. Excuse me, they're called frames, not scenes. Flash is also divided up into layers. See these right here? You can make a new layer by clicking on the new layer button right here. So when you make a new layer, it calls it layer 2. You can delete that layer by clicking on it and then clicking on the trash can. It'll automatically delete that layer. So Flash works very similar to Illustrator and Photoshop, where it builds layers on top of one another. So if you want to have objects going in different directions, different objects have doing different things, you'll need to put those objects on different layers. Over here on the right hand side, the one that you're going to use most often is the library tab. You guys see that? The library tab is used to save objects either once they're animated or to save one object that you can use multiple times in your Flash document. Okay? So think if we were making a scene where it was raining and you made a raindrop, and that raindrop was getting larger, it was going from small to large. Okay? You could either make 1,000 little raindrops, or you could make one raindrop, animate that one, and then bring it over from the library into your Flash document, and Flash sees that really it's just one raindrop. Okay, so that's a way that you can kind of speed up your work, save space on your Flash files, and kind of work more efficiently is by using your library. And what some graphic designers have done is they've made a Flash document of just library items. So, for example, if you have let's say you animate a face and you animate the eyes moving back and forth, you can save that into your library. So all you have to do now, anytime you make a face and you want to use those same eyes, is just drag them out from the library. The library is also cool because anything that we save in this Flash Documents library, we can open it up in a different document and use those same items. So I'm going to be using the library a lot. Okay, so we got the toolbar over here. We have the timeline up top. We have the library over on your right-hand side. And then lastly, we have the properties box down here at the bottom. So anytime you want to make any changes to any of these tools, you'll hear me refer to go to your properties tab, and that's located down here at the bottom. Now, if any of these windows aren't visible, you can always go to the window tab up here and select it. So window properties will bring your properties window back. Okay. Now, these windows can be stretched out. They can be made larger or smaller. You can adjust them so that you can see more of your stage if you want to, or less of your stage, or all of your layers, however way you want to. You can take the toolbar and you can move it around to a different side of your screen if you want to, whatever works for you. If something goes away, all you got to do is go back to Window and choose it. So I'm going to go to Window Toolbar. Window Toolbar. Now go to Window Workspace. Window Workspace will allow you to quickly arrange your windows. So let's say that there's something that you start up the computer and all of your toolbars are gone. You can go to Window Workspace, and I choose Designer because that's the one that works for me the best. Window Workspace. Your workspace isn't there? Oh, go to default then. Excuse me. I got a little bit different version of Flash. So window, what is it called for you guys? Window default. Window default. All right. Anybody ever been to a play? When you went to that play and you sat in the audience, right? What you were able to see, what you were able to see was the stage, right? Now, when those actors needed to like change into a different costume or a different outfit, they walked off the stage. Remember that? So Flash works basically the exact same way. This white box here is the stage. That's the visible part of your animation. This gray area around here is off the stage. So any animations that you do over here, they won't show up. Okay? Anything that you do on this white area here, it'll show up. That's your stage. That's also your background. Okay? But that's like your little window. So what you can do is you can animate objects off the stage that then are on the stage and then animate off the stage again. Okay? So keep that in mind. Those objects still exist, but you won't be able to see them unless they're inside of this white rectangle right here, and that's called the stage. Okie doke. All right. Let's start animating. On your toolbar, you're going to see two arrows at the very top. The first one is the black arrow. That's called the selection tool. That will allow you to select an object and move it around on your stage. The white arrow, just like in Illustrator, the sub-selection tool will allow you to select a part of an object. You got your normal pen tool. For those of you who were with me last semester, you have your text tool, your line tool, your pencil, your paintbrush. But the one I want you to find now is the rectangle tool. Click and hold that down. Whenever you see a little black arrow in the corner of that tool on your toolbar, that lets you know that there are more tools underneath it. So underneath the rectangle tool, we have the oval tool, and then the last tool is the poly star. Those are the three we're going to be using most often for this project. The rectangle, oval, and poly star. So for right now, let's just click on the rectangle. Let's click the oval. Let's use the oval. And before you do anything, take a look. Click on the oval. Click and hold it down. There you go. Now, before you put an oval onto the document, take a look up at the board. This area right here controls your fill and your stroke. What's the fill and the stroke? The inside and the outside of your shape. Okay, so the stroke is the outside. The fill is the inside. What I want you to do is to change your fill color. Pick any color you like. Doesn't matter. Change your fill color. And lastly, before you make your oval, you'll need to make sure that you're clicked on this button. Check it out. Take a look up at your screen. Put your mouse over this one. It's called object drawing. We want to always make sure that we're drawing with objects. Does everybody see where that's at? The object drawing button. Is there anybody that does not see where that button's at? Yeah, right next to the magnet. So once you're clicked on that object drawing button, go ahead and hold down Shift on your keyboard and make a circle on your page. Make it about that large. What does holding down Shift do when you make your circle? Yeah. Perfect circle, perfect proportion. Now, here's an important little tip for you. See this section right here where it says 50% on my computer? If you use that little pull down, you can zoom in or zoom out of your document. So fit in window will automatically fit your document at full size. Now, once you've made your oval, you'll need to click on your black arrow tool. And now you can click and you can move that oval wherever you want on your page. Now, here's a tip to let you know you're doing things right. Take a look up at the screen. If you notice, my oval has a rectangle around that. You guys see that? That lets you know you've done it right. If you don't have a rectangle around your circle, when you click on it with the black arrow, I want you to delete your circle and make sure that you're clicked on this button right here, the object drawing button. That's going to be very important for us going forward. You have to make sure you're clicked on the object drawing button. So click back on your circle and make sure that object drawing button is selected. Now you can use your black arrow and you can move that around. You'll notice when you click and drag it around, you'll see a little center point as well. You guys see that little center point? That you can use to kind of align up your objects. And we can turn on what's called snapping, where it'll snap to that center point. You'll also notice when you drag it around on the stage that it'll snap to the edges of the stage and it'll bring up those little lines that show you where the edges are. Everybody good? Okay. What we want to do now is we want to change the name of this layer. So instead of it called layer 1, double click where it says layer 1 and let's type circle. Hit enter when you're done. And take a look up at the screen. Here we go. All right, on each layer you got a few options. If you click on this little button underneath the eyeball, that's your visibility. So that'll show you what's on that layer, or you can hide what's on that layer at any time. Okay, so a lot of times when students have trouble, it's because that layer is invisible. The same thing with this next one here, and that's called lock. So that little lock will lock your circle in place. You won't be able to touch your circle or to move anything that's on that layer if you click on the lock button right here. Everybody see that? And I showed you where to delete a layer. That's right here. Take a look up at the screen. And to make a new layer is right there. That's what that little icon is. Make a new layer. In between those, you can make folders, and you can put layers inside of folders as well. That'll help you keep your animation organized. Before we go to break, I'm going to show you a video that one of my students made 2 years ago, I think it was. Is it animated? Yes. I'm going to show you an animation. But is it cool? Now, everybody see this? Everybody see this little symbol here, that red line going through your timeline? That red line there, that's called the playhead. Anybody ever use a record player before? Use a record player? You know when you pick up the needle and you put it on a specific song you want? Or okay, that's what this does. That's the playhead. These little bitty rectangles in here, those are frames. Those little gray frames let you know that it's every 5 frames. So you got one at 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. So these are called frames. This first frame, now that we have an object on there and see that little black dot, that lets us know that there's an object on that frame. That's called a keyframe, okay? And the way Flash works is you use multiple keyframes to animate your object. So keyframes let the computer know that you want to move the size, the shape, the color. You want to change something about that particular object. And the way that you do that is by using keyframes. The way that you insert a new keyframe is by right-clicking in an empty area, in an empty frame here, right-click, and go to Insert Keyframe. And we're going to be doing that a lot, Insert Keyframe. In fact, we're going to be doing it so much, you might want to use the keyboard shortcut, which is F7. And you can keep F7ing, and that'll put in blank keyframes. And you can do multiple Control Z's to undo. So right now, what I want you to do is to insert a new keyframe so that you have 1 keyframe, 2 keyframes. Excuse me? Yeah, you're going to have 2 keyframes, just like I got here. Now, you'll notice when you click on the next keyframe, it doesn't look like anything's going on. But if you move your circle, let me unlock it. If you move your circle while you're on the second keyframe, now you can move your playhead back to the first keyframe, and you'll see you've done a quick little simple animation. So all it does is go from 1 keyframe to the next. See that? Now, check it out. If your circle doesn't move, I'll do it again. Okay, everybody do Control Z until you have just 1 keyframe. Until your screen looks like mine. Okay, everybody do Control Z. You got back to 1 keyframe? All right, next thing you need to do is to right click. Let's do it on frame 2. First of all, click on frame 2 so that it's selected. Then right click and go to Insert Keyframe. Anybody still lost? So you got to do exactly what I did. You got to click in frame 2, right click and go to Insert Keyframe. Now, while you're on frame 2, click on the oval, click on the circle, and move it to a different location. Make sure you're on frame 2. And now if you move your playhead back and forth, you'll see what you've done so far.
So where's the little video you're going to show us, or whatever it's called?
I haven't showed you yet. All right. Okay, take a look up at the screen. Okay, next step, we're going to move the ball to a third location. Click on the third frame. You see how I did that? Just click on the third frame till it's highlighted blue. Right click, go to insert keyframe. Some people are messing up because they're going to insert blank keyframe. Don't do that. Just go to insert keyframe. At frame 3, move it to a different location. And now when you scrub through, you'll see it scrubbing to 3 different locations, A, B, and C. If you got those 3, do 4. Click on frame 4, right click, go to insert keyframe, move the ball to another location, click on frame 5, right click, insert keyframe, and move the ball back to the beginning. Once you have 5 keyframes in, do Control Enter on your keyboard. Control Enter on your keyboard.